Hey guys, so you've probably watched my summed up version of everything that sort of happened. So honestly, I am going to just open up about the things that I've been through. I want to help people with a lot of different things, and I think it'll be good to get this out there. Uh, If I repeat things that I've said in previous videos, I apologize. And each video is going to be 13 minutes, so I'm going to splice up each thing that happened. So I'm going to start from the beginning. So the stuff that I started to go through at a young age probably started happening, I want to say, around the time that my mom got pregnant with my sister. So that's when my dad went from being somebody that I looked up to and spent time with. I mean, we have had good times before. So a little bit about how my dad was. He used to be before any of this stuff started happening, he used to be very fun loving and just, I mean, for an example, sometimes, like in New Mexico, when the moon's up and it's shining really bright, you can see everything outside as if it's like, you know, where the sun sets just enough that it's still light outside, you can see everything, but still starting to get dark. Well, the moon sets like that out there and it lights up everything. And my dad would take us outside, me, my brother, my mom, and him, and we'd play like hide and seek, and we'd go on night walks, and he'd teach us about the different types of snakes and poisonous and just normal life stuff that we enjoyed, except for from time to time he would get drunk, and when he would drink liquor, he'd get mean. So there was times he'd work, and then after work he'd go to the bar and he'd come home drunk. I remember one time before the really bad stuff started happening, before my mom got pregnant with my sister, the one thing that I do remember is being afraid and my mom crying because my dad pulled up, and the type of rock he listens to when he drinks liquor let her know on what mental state he was in. So she was really upset and told us to go to the room and pretend we were asleep. And actually, I got upset. I was scared because I didn't know what was happening. My mom was freaking out, and I'd never seen her like that before. And when he came in, he heard me and my brother crying in the bedroom. And I remember him picking us up by our throats and holding us in air. And that's the start of when my dad changed. After this, he would constantly ground me to my room for months at a time. Mind you, I grew up without running water, so we hauled water. I grew up without heat, so the only way of heat we had was to cut wood and have fireplaces. So my life was consistent of chopping wood, carrying wood, stacking wood, starting fires in the morning to get warm, stoking fires to keep them going, chopping logs, things like that, hauling water, lifting water jugs, hauling buckets, getting buckets ready for baths and stuff like that. I did not have a life that would be considered easy. But those things didn't really affect me. It was the way it was for me. It's all I knew. I wasn't allowed, when I was grounded to my room, I was only allowed to go cut wood, haul water, go to the bathroom, grab a drink of water, and when I went out to get drinks of water, my dad would torment, name call, ground me longer sometimes. It wasn't fun. I didn't have TV. I wasn't allowed to listen to music. All I could do was read. So a lot of my knowledge came from books, and the only other time I was allowed out of my room is when I was at school. So in my room, I only had books and homework, and that's all I could do. That was my life. After my sister was born, we had a lot of spouts of this, lots of groundings, things like that. Around the time I was 9, my sister was born when I was 7, so around the time I was 9, I had a favorite uncle, and he was the type of uncle to let you drink coffee when your parents weren't around and play board games with you when no one else would. Being my family, the boys were treated differently than the girls. The boys had precedent to learn hunting, about cars. My family was mechanics, so mechanic work, stuff like that. And I wasn't allowed to partake in that, or I was only limited to what they would teach me because I was a girl. So there was a lot of sexism in my family because I'm a girl. Like, I wasn't allowed to do certain things. I wasn't allowed to spend nights at friends' houses because I'm a girl, or I wasn't allowed to go and learn how to use a gun like the boys at those ages because I was a girl, and I couldn't do this because I was a girl. I wouldn't amount to nothing because I was a girl. I heard a lot growing up about that, so it made me very competitive with the boys. Like, I'm going to show you that just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I can't beat you, that I can't win, that I can't be better. That, it made me very aware that there was a difference, but at the same time, the way that I would process it, because I can remember back then. So if I put myself back then, I can tell you, I knew that I was a girl and that there were boys, and boys were different than girls in the way of private parts, but honestly, it was more like, I'm going to show you, I'm one of the boys. No, nonetheless, I'm pretty much a tomboy. Like four-wheeling, I eventually learned how to hunt, skin, gut, cut. I learned a little bit about cars. I like cars and stuff like that. Well, the time I was 9, like I was saying about my uncle, he would be the only one to play Monopoly with me. Monopoly was like my favorite game. I've been playing Monopoly since I was like 6. I haven't lost a game in a Monopoly since I was like 6 or 7. Like, I don't know. I just got really good at the game, so nobody really liked to play. I mean, who would want to play a board game that a 6-year-old could beat you at, So, that'll give you a little bit of a, like, that's how my mind was. It was easy. It's easy for me to do strategy. So, my uncle, I looked at him like, hey, this is my favorite uncle. He takes us out to go swimming. He takes us out to go and do things. He shows us things. He was the only male in my family that showed me any type of, positive male attention. At least that's what I thought. He was an alcoholic, just like a lot of the men in my family. Alcoholics. And I was afraid. And I asked him one night to lay with me until I fell asleep. I was 9 years old and afraid of monsters and the dark. Afraid something was going to get me. And so he did. And I woke up to him raping me. I remember everything. I remember how the house was set up. I remember what I was wearing. I can tell you the colors. I can tell you exactly. I was wearing a red t-shirt and some shorts that were overalls. He unhooked my overalls and unbuttoned the side button to expose my rear end, and that's how he raped me. I remember crying and asking him why he was hurting me, and if he would stop. He said no. And the next thing I remember is, I think I blocked some of it out, was standing at the end of the bed and asking him why he did what he'd done. And his response was, How do you know you don't like it if you don't try it? I went to the bathroom and I didn't quite understand what had happened to me. I cried, and I didn't know. I didn't want to tell anybody. I felt dirty. I was afraid. I didn't even want to come out of the bathroom, but I did. He hugged me. He threatened that if I had said anything, I wouldn't be able to see my grandparents again because it happened in my grandparents' house. So, you get into that, and then the abuse started. The beating, the torture, the name calling. My uncle would constantly be allowed to slap my butt, be living around me. My family, when I told them, they didn't care. They swept it under the rug. And essentially my whole life, they questioned whether I was honest about it or not, and took his side and believed him over me. My dad did a lot of beating of me, and I was very malnourished, as my food intake when I was outside of school was a bottle of soda and a bag of chips. Going through that was hard and caused a lot of problems for me. So I dealt with a lot mentally, not only at home, but at school. I was bullied, I was beat up on. I was smaller, so I was easily to be pushed around. I was so nice and kind, and I didn't know how to interact with others, so of course I was, different and seen as weird and awkward because I spent a lot of time by myself, and with books I didn't know how to make friends or talk to people. I kept my secret because we were threatened if we didn't, we'd be killed off. So that was my life as a kid. And admitting that on the internet is not easy. But I've been through a lot. And my next video is going to be about how I ended up with my ex. But I do hope putting this out there helps others realize, they're not alone. Thank you for listening. And sorry about the such serious video, but I'm starting over and I'm telling all. Thanks, guys, and look forward to the next one.